This is a substitute mini gala for the Canada-Pakistan Business Council. What happened was that we were planning our gala around the 17th or the 18th. And that's the date that I gave to our Wendy. And she planned her trip accordingly. Wendy, thank you. And I'm so glad that you're here. But we decided that we will present to you a small cross-section of the gem of our community. That's why we are all here. So because of you, we are all here. Thank you very much. I have yet to announce the gala. It's going to happen somewhere in July. We are working with a few people. And we're delighted that this year, the Canada-Pakistan Business Council is celebrating its 36th anniversary gala and awards night. It's going to happen in July. As a starting point, I want to recognize my board members, my advisors, and the committee people who have made this possible, that Canada-Pakistan Business Council can be considered as a go-to organization in connecting Canada and Pakistan. So I'm delighted. I would like to recognize, and please kindly stand. From there is Mr. Farooq Dawood, the founding chairperson. Thank you very much. Nilofer Mama, Naveed Haider, Javed Mughal, our technology advisor. Please stand if you're there. Okay. So, yeah. Farah, there you are. Farah. So, somebody mentioned about gender equality. There are more women in the group right now. So, thank you very much for being there, and I appreciate all the support. We have all what we do. It can never be done without the support of our members and our sponsors. We are a membership or a sponsorship-driven company, an organization, and that's how we thrive. I too want to recognize something very special. The fact that after 2012, I think Canada has begun to realize that there is a need to identify Pakistan as one of the markets. So this amazing young lady who is really out in the fields. For those who don't know, her name is Margot McDonald. She is making a difference. And I want to communicate to her that we really hold her in very high esteem for the work that she does. And may she continue to do all the good work that she does. So, and it's really wonderful. I want to, one more time, recognize Naveed Haider for the great work that she does. The delegation, it seemed, was so easy because of her at the back end for the work that you do. All those who are in the room will totally agree with what I'm saying. Shadwari, thank you again. I'm actually going to be asking two people to speak, and then I'm going to ask Wendy to say a few words. I don't know. I really wanted to come and say a few words. Yes. He is the only Canadian of Pakistani origin in the Ontario government. He is the face of the community, and thank you for being there.
A very good evening and assalamu alaikum to you all. Samir Saab, thank you so very much for hosting this wonderful event, a gala. Every time you just go and outdid yourself each and every time. So thank you for that. Wendy, thank you so very much for joining us this evening. I know we met yesterday, and when everybody was asking Wendy about student visas and immigration and why our students are not getting visas, I asked Wendy a question, and I said, Wendy, what do you think about our Toronto Raptors? And she did answer. She said, I wish I was here to watch the finals championship game. But you see, Wendy, we are now the champions here. So, but as Samir Saab just mentioned that we are, Ontario is definitely open for business, and we are growing jobs here in this province, approximately over 100,000 jobs that we have created so far, and we continue to foster this relationship between Ontario and Pakistan. And I know Samir Saab and I, every week we talk about what we can do as a province in collaboration with Pakistan to see that we can bring business over here, or bring some sort of, like, coming from an IT background, I'm always looking at how we can improve our relationship from a technology perspective. So looking forward to your speech over here today, and hopefully building the strong relationship between the province and Pakistan. And once again, thank you very much for joining us this evening. And Samir Saab, thank you so much for having me. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Khalid, for being there always. I appreciate that. You know what? You are aware of the fact that there is a Pakistani company in collaboration with GE. I have the liberty to now mention that because I've taken consent. We have the representation of Javed Akbar, who's also part of one of their boards, and it's a $1 billion offering to Ontario to replace the Pickering power plant. Where does it go? I don't know. We all are doing our best to see where it goes. So there is opportunity there. I'm going to ask Dr. Raza Muridi to just try and capture in his own words a short remark of his experience of the ICT trade delegation that he chaired with us to Pakistan, along with his lovely wife. We are missing her. She was supposed to join us, but thank you.
Thank you very much, Samir. First of all, I want to thank Samir for inviting me to be on that mission to Pakistan. Some of you may know that I had received invitation from Pakistani government, from the government of Punjab actually, I think 3 times when I was the minister, to go to Pakistan, and each time I was basically asked, I can't travel to Pakistan because I'm a cabinet minister, a government minister. So, but this time when Samir came to me and he said, well, the delegation is going, and are you coming? I said, yes, I'm a free man now, and I don't need to ask permission from any person. I will come. And that coincided with that unfortunate incident of India's aircraft attacking Pakistan, and a few friends, they said, oh, don't go there, there may be war. I said, whatever, I'll be going. And not only I'm going, but my wife is coming as well. So we had a great time in Karachi, in Islamabad, and the mission was very successful, and I had the honor of meeting with Prime Minister Khan, with President, with Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Dawood, and also with the Chairman of the Chief of Staff of Pakistan military, and a couple of other ministers as well. Pakistan is a great country. I mean, many of you in this room, you are from Pakistan, and I'm sure that Your Excellency knows far better than I do Pakistan. I haven't lived in Pakistan, but I have, of course, read about Pakistan, Pakistan's history, geography, and years in the government as well. It's a great place to be and a great place to do business. Our trade with Pakistan is not at the level it should be. It's about, I believe, $1.5 or $2 billion, but two-way trade. But I think the capacity is there to reach at least $5 billion per year two-way trade with Pakistan. And then we as Canadians, and particularly Canadians of Pakistani origin, and also our governments, both provincial and federal, we have a great duty to assist our business people to expand their business with Pakistan, and in the interest of both Pakistan and Canada. Our trade, as we all know, is very focused with the U.S., above 75% or 80% of our business with the United States, and we need to diversify this. And Pakistan is one of those countries with over 200 million consumers. Is a great market for Canadian businesses. And the one great advantage I think Pakistan offers to Canadian businesses is that, you know, the language barrier, there's no language barrier between Canadian businesses and Pakistan. We both speak English. So that is, I think, a great advantage for Pakistani businessmen and also with Canadian businessmen to work together to expand trade between both of us. But in the meantime, doing business with countries such as Pakistan, you need a facilitator. Our businesses cannot just travel or cannot do business directly with Pakistan. And that facilitator is organizations such as Canada-Pakistan Business Council. And another facilitator is actually our governments, because doing business in countries such as Pakistan requires a politician, requires a government. I used to say when I was in government, I said, you know, doing business in countries such as, say, Pakistan and similar countries, we need to have a politician to be within this trade missions. If you can get a minister or MP, MPP, or Prime Minister, even if you can get Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, Queen of Canada, to be in that mission, even better. So that is the significance of having a politician, a political figure, to lead the business delegations to countries such as Pakistan. So I'm so glad that to see, you know, Her Excellency over there is working, doing her best, and of course our political colleagues such as our MP Salma Zahid and Igra Khalid and Senator Salma Atalujan, they're also doing their best in order to facilitate connection between our business community and Pakistani business community. And I am quite optimistic that with your efforts and also the efforts of our governments and also our business community, our trade with Pakistan will grow day by day, and they will reach that goal of $5 billion, hopefully within the next 5 years. So thank you very much. Merci beaucoup and shukriya. And thank you again. Thank you very much.
In order to save time, I'm just going to go straight to Wendy. I want, obviously, thank you very much, Malia, for being there. But I want to, Malia is the counselor for Whitby, and thank you for being here. And we'll try and bring you in, but I want to bring in Wendy, if you may allow, Chief, allow me to bring Wendy to speak.
I'm very pleased.
First and foremost, let me thank everyone here for coming tonight, for giving me the opportunity to meet you, the Canada-Pakistan Business Council, under the able leadership of Samir Dosal. When I took up the position, when I was told initially that I would be going to Pakistan, I was told, you know, we are really incredibly lucky in Canada that we have a number of very active and very engaged community associations and business associations. Chief amongst them is the CPBC, and first person that I really had to meet was Samir Dosal. So when you came to Pakistan on Christmas Day, where there it was, and the city was closed down, even in Islamabad, everything closed for Christmas Day and pretty much for Boxing Day, I had to take the opportunity to come and to meet you and to learn about this wonderful organization and all of the people that form part of it. And you and all of you doing your tremendous amount of work to bring Canada and Pakistan closer together. So for me, as Canada's representative in Pakistan, I am incredibly lucky to have all of you who are there and engaging with your family, with your friends, with businesses and others, and we are all there really as ambassadors for Pakistan. So I'd give yourself a round of applause. It's great. I can say universally, everywhere that I have gone so far in the country, I meet people and I say I'm from Canada, and the resonance that we have, the warmth of the welcome, the hospitality, which I think is there for most people, but even all the more so when you say you're from Canada. First thing I hear is I have an uncle, a brother, a sister, a cousin, generally living in Toronto, a few other places. I keep saying, you've got to move to Saskatoon. Or they have been to school in Canada, or they know someone that's been to school in Canada, or they have visited Canada. And it really is just, it is so wonderful to be there and representing a country that has such a warmth of recognition and of welcome. I have to say, I do a lot of events where the heads of mission travel as a bit of a pack. And all of my colleague ambassadors and high commissioners are around with me. And it doesn't matter who we meet, we're sort of going down the line. And inevitably, when they get to me, it's like, oh, I've been to Canada, or my uncle's in Canada. And I have the EU on one side and the Americans on the other. And they're looking at me like, really? Again? It's wonderful. So it is, I see myself to be in an incredibly privileged position to be there, to be representing Canada. It is, I'll say a few words and you'll tell me sort of if we're time. I realize that I think Samir and I and whoever else is going to speak is between us and dinner. So I'll keep my remarks fairly contained. But it is the people-to-people ties that we grow our relationship from. So we start from the incredible Canada-Pakistan community, and that is, and I think something that I'm really coming to realize and to understand, is that the immigration flow that's come from Pakistan, from South Asia to Canada, is not a static event. People are coming over, they're coming to Canada to study, to work, people in this room, and many of you then have connections. You go back to Pakistan, you still have family in Pakistan. I'm seeing increasingly young people who are coming over to Canada, do their schooling, maybe stay long enough for citizenship, then go back to Pakistan for a few years to take care of elderly parents and children, may come back, establish businesses in Canada. It's a very fluid environment. And that is a wonderful basis upon which to really establish and to grow our engagement. We also, of course, and people in this room know, we have our wonderful political colleagues. We have a shared parliamentary tradition in Pakistan. When I meet with Pakistani parliamentarians, and I say we have we have a two-house federal parliament, we have a federal system, we have division of powers between provinces and our federal government, that immediately resonates. They understand our system. It is primarily still a Westminster parliamentary tradition in Pakistan. So that gives us something upon which to grow. There is, and I am so pleased to say, in the Legislative Assembly, in the federal parliament in Pakistan, there is a Canada-Pakistan parliamentary friendship group. There are parliamentary friendship groups with many countries. Apparently, when the MLAs came and they established the parliament following the elections, they all had to sign up for which group they wanted to be part of. Well, the Americans had about 20 or so people. The European Union group was a little bit larger, 40 to 60 people. Andali Babas, who is the parliamentary secretary for foreign affairs and a member of parliament, a wonderfully, incredibly accomplished lady, is the chair of the group. She came and saw me and said, Wendy, I have 260 parliamentarians that want to be part of the Canada-Pakistan. I said, well, we have 5 PIA flights a week that'll fit. Bring them on over. But it does show the strength of the relationship and the interest. And similarly, in the provincial assemblies, there is a tremendous amount of interest and engagement and real hunger to learn more about Canada and about the types of things that we're doing. The fact that Canada is a multicultural country, that we celebrate, we pride ourselves on inclusion and diversity, on the empowerment of women, to have gender representation, our federal cabinet balanced, but significant numbers, not quite as many as we would like yet to have numbers of women in our parliaments and in our municipal assemblies and others, but we're getting there. And that is something that Pakistan finds innately positive and really does show that it really does resonate with them and that they want to learn more about it and to be engaged with Canada. It's interesting, I'm asked, and I do a bit of a survey, how many Canadians, and I'm asked this all the time, how many Canadians are of Pakistani origin? And I have to stop and think. I don't like the Statistics Canada numbers, which comes in around, I think, about 225,000 or so, because anecdotally, at least, I'm sure it is much greater than that. But ultimately, if we just look at the numbers of people that are traveling back and forth, the numbers of queries we get here in the High Commission in Islamabad for things like passports and renewals and citizenship applications, my guess is that the community in Canada would be numbering well over 400,000 or so. Especially people that, the connections can be at second and third distance, but people that have some connection to Pakistan. In Pakistan, I estimate, again, just on the volumes of applications and so forth that we get, we could be anywhere from 20 to 60,000 Canadian citizens or people eligible for Canadian citizens that are resident in Pakistan. That means that we at the High Commission, we are a full service mission. We have a very busy program. We have a lot of people that are asking for services from us, but it does mean that, as I said, no matter where I go in Pakistan, I will meet people with connections to Canada. I'll say just a very few words about the type of things that we're doing at the Canadian High Commission in Pakistan. We've talked a lot about the trade agenda. We were very lucky, and Samir very kindly called her out, we were very lucky to get a new position established at the High Commission last summer, which is a senior trade commissioner, a Canada-based senior trade commissioner. And Margot MacDonald is the lovely young woman who is in the position. It was great. She actually, as a student, backpacked through the whole of Pakistan 20 years ago and has been rediscovering the country since. But what that's done is put a real focus on the possibility for growing our trade program. We are at the moment, statistically, it's really only about $1 billion or slightly over $1 billion in two-way bilateral trade. And I say to people that I meet in Pakistan, that's the amount of trade that we have moving bilaterally back and forth the Canada-US border on a daily basis. There must be room to grow this relationship. And so we're doing our very best to identify opportunities both for exports in goods and services. Increasingly, probably services is where we're going to see considerable growth. And we're also looking for opportunities to try and support Canadian businesses in joint ventures, in franchising opportunities, and to take advantage of the available market in Pakistan of even, given the size of the country, educated, digitally aware, and engaged population that is looking for economic opportunity. And I don't know where Bilal went, but certainly Constellation and Contour, I think, is a great Canadian, if you want to get the experience of what it is to establish operations in Pakistan and to use the available talent pool in Pakistan to grow a Canadian business, then I think Constellation and Contour are great examples. I've lost Bilal wherever he's gone, way in the back, hiding on us. But in addition to the trade program, Canada still has a very significant development program in Pakistan. And we can't forget the fact that even with all of the economic activity that's underway, the very sophisticated parts of cities, the fact that Pakistan has, and not to the pleasure of the Canadian government, an ongoing nuclear weapons program, very sophisticated engagement in military capabilities, it is also representative of some of the poorest people on earth. There are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that live well below the poverty line, that don't have access to basic nutrition and health, that don't have access to expression, freedom of expression, to their ability to exercise their own rights to the extent, certainly, that we would want, more to the extent that they would want. This is something that Canada continues to work on with Pakistan. So we have a bilateral development program that is first and foremost a feminist international assistance program, working with women and girls to try and assist in creating the opportunities that they need to take their rightful place in society, to address some of the systemic barriers to their activity. We also are working with youth to try and create opportunities for youth in education, in access to jobs, in understanding. We did a whole program, which I found fascinating, on fiscal literacy and entrepreneurship, which frankly we could transfer to Canadians, to some youth here, I would think, but to try and ensure that youth have access to the types of skills that they need in order to grow their own opportunities. We have a significant humanitarian program still in Pakistan. We are contributing actively to the polio eradication campaign, which continues to be one of the 3 countries on earth where polio is still present: Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Nigeria. And at the end of the day, we are also very engaged in rural development. We were one of the founding donors of the Aga Khan Rural Support Program, which started up in the north in Gilgit-Baltistan and is extended out to Sindh province and Punjab province. And frankly, the lessons that were learned in Pakistan about how to do rural development, the Aga Khan Development Network has transferred to India and to other places around the globe. A really successful program. So it's interesting. We've had such a long history of development cooperation in Pakistan. One of the things that we would like to do in establishing and growing our commercial program is really understand, how do you do the transition from basic development needs to then translating that into economic opportunity and commercial partnerships. So we're also trying to do an understanding of if we're going to be engaged in supporting women in particular in entrepreneurial activities, how does that translate into the type of work we're doing on the trade program? So we're looking for specific programs in connecting women entrepreneurs here in Canada with their counterparts in Pakistan, especially in small and medium-sized industry, and seeing if they can grow together. So there's a lot of really exciting things going on that frankly makes me all the more eager to get back. 42 degrees and humidity notwithstanding. I don't want to speak too much longer because I know we wanted to have an opportunity to take questions, but I'll speak about two of, and because I anticipate that some of the questions will be on that extent, sort of two of the elephants in the room, always when we are talking about our bilateral relationship with Pakistan. And the first one is the immigration program. The second one is our travel advisory. The immigration program, I can say, I have to do always my disclaimer. As the Canadian High Commissioner, I have no direct role in visa decisions. I have no direct role in facilitating visas, either permanent residency or temporary residency. That's something that's very difficult, especially in Pakistan, to understand, that the person that's in charge of the embassy or High Commission would not have a direct role. I look to all of you to sort of help your counterparts in Pakistan understand that the real value of the Canadian system is a level playing field. Anyone that can apply for a visa, they can apply for the visa online. The most efficient way to do it is online. The best way to apply for a visa is to do it yourself, to make sure that the information that's being provided is accurate, is complete, and is you ensure that it is all attributable to you, to the applicant itself. One of the greatest challenges that we see collectively as the Canadian government, I hear from my immigration colleagues, is often people that use consultants to apply for their visas or to apply for different, whether it's the student, business, immigrant, or others, and that the consultants may not be 100% accurate or straightforward in their approach. And so we have people that end up very disappointed because they are not taking ownership themselves with respect to the information that's being provided. At the end of the day, it is a difficult, challenging job to be an immigration officer. My colleagues in immigration, I think, have one of the most difficult jobs in government. The volume of applications are such that it is always possible that mistakes are made, or that different applications can be processed in different ways, or not in different ways, but in different time frames, to make it challenging to obtain a visa for Canada. So my baseline message is, again, get people to make their applications early, to do it themselves, make sure the information is complete and it's accurate. That's the message that I give to people in Pakistan. That's the message that I would give to people here. The second thing is the travel advisory. And I know that many of you have spoken to me directly about the travel advisory. At the moment, Canada's travel advice to people who wish to travel to Pakistan is based on the premise, not the premise, but based on the fact that it is still a very difficult security situation. There are continuing terrorist incidents that happen on a regular enough basis that we haven't been able to get a clear period of time to really get the evidentiary basis necessary to change our advice from, in some regions of the country, we really say that your travel should be essential if you are planning to go. In certain areas of the country, we recommend against any travel at all. We have managed, based on the record, the pattern of incidents in Islamabad, to move our travel advisory to the standard sort of exercise caution before you go, but there have not been the number and the type of incidents to really demand that we raise that back up to essential travel only or to no travel. I do understand that is a different experience than many of you who travel regularly to Pakistan. Canada's travel advice is written with the baseline, somebody who doesn't know the country, somebody who has not perhaps traveled there before. We want to provide as much information as we possibly can so that the traveler can make an informed decision. But we continue to review this on a regular basis. We continue to try and, as I say, collect the evidentiary basis to make an assessment to see if we can move the advice to different levels. And as soon as we have that, of course, we will do it. But at the end of the day, the advice is there to inform people of the risks that might be present if they are to go. It's not a political tool. It's not an advocacy tool. It is simply based on the evidence that we have with respect to the risks that exist in the country that might be experienced by Canadians if they were to go there. So those are the two things that I know always come up. I wanted to address them directly. Happy to answer other questions on them. But my baseline message is that I think that there is real opportunity in the Canada-Pakistan relationship. There's opportunity for us to advocate and to extend the Canadian values that everyone here in this room embodies. Our respect for each other, our diversity, the inclusion that we have in our country. This is a model that we can carry to all other places around the world, and Pakistan in particular. Our respect for freedom of religion, our respect for freedom of expression, of sexual orientation, in particular, the role that women are able to play in Canada is something that we would like to see translated across the globe. We have an opportunity to work with Pakistan in international fora, in different multilateral institutions. Pakistan respects and is an active contributor to the United Nations. They believe in the multilateral rules-based system. This is something that we work with them in a very like-minded way in certain fora. And we were working hand in glove with Pakistan, as I said earlier, on development issues to try and help the vast number of people that are in the country lift themselves out of poverty, have access to basic education, basic nutrition, and access to health services, some of which can be provided commercially with the assistance of Canada or with our expertise, in order that all of the people in Pakistan have an opportunity to live their best lives possible, and for Pakistan to then be a more active contributor to the global economy, and therefore a really engaged and successful trading partner with Canada. So with that, I will stop. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here tonight. It's my pleasure. It's wonderful to see such a diverse and great group of people engaged in Pakistan, and I look forward to getting a chance to speak and to talk to every one of you.
So let's do one thing. Let's open the floor for 3 questions, and later on, hopefully, you will get an opportunity to have a personal interaction after dinner or dessert. Just one thing I wanted to recognize. I missed out an amazing gentleman, Mubid Khan. He was supposed to join us, and he's probably one of the experts in cybersecurity. He's trying to engage and to do some extraordinary work in Pakistan. So I did realize that he could not join us because he had to go through a little stripsing. So he's in the book, but he joined us later. 3 questions. If not, then I have got another thing to do. Wakar.
Yeah, I'm Wakar. I'm a PhD student at the Monk School of Global Affairs at UFT. I'm just interested, first of all, thank you very much for translating Canada to the world exceptionally, so we are thankful to you. I'm just interested in knowing what is the biggest challenge for the High Commission and how can we help as a community?
Should we take
This
one?
yours. What is yours?
I guess I would, everything at some point comes back to visas. One of the biggest challenges in our relationship with Pakistan is the perception that to get a Canadian visa is more challenging than it should be. I compare all the time sort of what I hear anecdotally with my colleagues from other countries, the Schengen, with the United States and elsewhere. And I would say that there are consistent problems across all of the Western countries with respect to the visa issuance and visa decision-making problem. But with Canada, because of the size of our community and the people-to-people contacts, and frankly, our real desire to do things like increase the number of foreign students that are in Canada and increase the number of students that come from Pakistan, inevitably, every conversation at some point comes around to visas. So I guess I would have, and for this room, there's a couple of myths that I would dispel, and I would actually encourage you to dispel. There is no national bias in the visa process. Our colleagues from immigration really do have a level playing field. They make their decisions based on the evidence, the information that is in front of them in the application. There's no external bias that says that there is a quota for one country and not for another, or that there might be nationals of one country assessing applications and that ends up with negative results. That is absolutely not the case. So if I could ask the people in this room, if anybody ever says to you, and I hesitate to repeat it because then it sort of feeds the narrative, but if somebody says to you, well, Pakistani applications in Abu Dhabi are not being treated fairly because of the personnel there, that is absolutely not the case. So that's the sort of the big challenge. But as much as anything, it is trying to get Canadians to understand that Pakistan is more, especially in recent history, is more than just the conflict in Afghanistan. I think that there is still, in the nature of our press and the type of world reporting that's done, there's a bit of a lens that looks at Pakistan through the perspective of the conflict in Afghanistan, the role that Canada played and others, but also an ongoing, it is prevalent in our news. The news never likes to print a good story. They always print very negative stories. So if there is a terrorist incident in Kabul or, God forbid, a terrorist incident in Pakistan itself, that's what gets played prominently. So spreading the story that Pakistan is more than simply any of these types of negative incidents, and that it is a multifaceted, varied country with 4 seasons and mountains and coastline and oceans, to try and encourage Canadians to understand, especially Canadians outside of the community, to understand the potential and the opportunity that exists.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Wendy, for giving a nice summary about what Canadians have been there doing for Canada, Pakistan itself. I have 2 small questions. You just mentioned there is no bias. So I was just wondering that when a Pakistani apply for any student visa, and the time frames you see is different than from different countries, the process time. Some get 6 weeks, some 3 months, but there you go 6 months to 9 months. And one question. Second, with this similar, would it be possible the students who is getting a scholarship from Canada, from university itself, either UFT or Manitoba, wherever, they can be looked at in a different way, because this scholarship cannot wait for them to come and see, because it's a short span there. So is there any possibility that the Canadian government or High Commission look at those applications who got the scholarship from Canada to come and study or do some PhD program or so? So there is a difference. Rest of the thing you can deal with regular basis.
So again, I would say all of the policy questions related to immigration and the desire to have sort of specific programs established and so forth really does have to be addressed to IRCC. I know that they have an office that is looking across the board at different types of student programs and others. I think they would absolutely welcome ideas on that front. The processing timelines relates entirely to volume and the types of applications that are received. Applications from a market like Pakistan, like other markets, are very complex and require more scrutiny than applications from other markets because of the, if nothing else, there is no central authority in Pakistan that issues a birth certificate. Every type of student credential varies tremendously depending on the institution that's providing it. There's no central authority that establishes credentialing. Whereas in other countries, it's easier to validate a birth certificate, it's easier to validate a marriage certificate or other types of things. That's the type of complexity. Pakistan's not the only country that faces these challenges, but the size of the country, the size of the population, the number of applications that are being made to Canada means that there is a longer processing time. But it's not a bias against the applicants, it's an administrative factor in how to assess an application. But on the scholarship front, I really encourage you to address that with IRCC. There may be programs that they have, of which I'm not aware, but that they might be able to put in place.
We'll try and address that. That was it. Anybody else? Anfal.
Hi, Wendy. Thank you so much for being here. My question is basically a bureaucratic side background, and I've seen that Bangladeshi and Portuguese manufacturers have an advantage over textile in Canada. I mean, you know Pakistan is the largest manufacturer for textile goods, and being not a part of exemption that Bangladeshi and other Portuguese items are, don't you think it's become a disadvantage for Pakistan to compete in Canadian market for textile goods?
So the Bangladesh in particular benefited from being a least developed country, an indicator that was established, I believe, by the OECD in establishing preferential tariffs for countries that fell into that category. What we're going to see is Bangladesh is going to graduate out of those preferential tariffs. I think it's a process over the course of the next few years, so that there will be a level playing field. That they don't hit that LDC category. Pakistan falls under the most favored nation rates that Canada has established as part of our WTO commitments. So in the category of countries that it is equivalent to, they are all the same tariff. We have an ongoing dialogue with the Ministry of Commerce. I met with the advisor to the Prime Minister on Commerce, Secretary Dawood, fairly recently, about initiating some discussions on the various tariff rates. But the people raise with me the Bangladesh example all the time, and it is, on the good news side, Pakistan didn't hit the indicators to be a least developed country. The other good news side is that Pakistan has lifted itself out of that element, and so will lose those preferential tariffs. There is, I think, a lesson for Pakistan. Is like, look at tariff rate aside, look at the example of Bangladesh. The GDP growth, the amount of exported material, their balance of payments. Bangladesh is actually a success story in that respect that perhaps Pakistan can learn from. Pakistan has, in last week, for those of you that following, the government of Prime Minister Khan brought down the first major budget that they have since their election, where they are trying explicitly to address some of the macroeconomic fundamentals to put the economy of Pakistan on a more sustainable basis. And certainly the international community writ large and those that are contributing members of the IMF are very encouraged by some of the steps that are being taken. So hopefully it's, I think there is potential for export growth from Pakistan. Of course, our job at the High Commission is to create opportunity for Canadian exports into Pakistan. But even still, I think that there is opportunity there.
Thank you very much. Really, this was really, really great. Folks, dinner is probably a minute away. We are very, very fortunate that I have an amazing document over here. It's called the Canada-Pakistan Bilateral Trade Study Report and Market Diversification Plan. Canada-Pakistan Business Council, with the support of Global Affairs, was assigned and we agreed to the task of creating a market diversification plan. We have just released this document as a soft copy, and I was waiting to present the first hard copy to the High Commissioner for their inputs, for Marco's input. So perhaps, so what we're going to do is, I'm just going to present this right now, but we're going to take a picture with the group with this book. So this document will be on the net. This will be shared and circulated all over.
I get to take it away?
Yes, this is for you. This is for you. This is the first hard copy that's being circulated. So, folks, we can continue our conversation. I want the environment to become a little mellow, informal, and I'm going to break the protocol and ask people from right at that end to go ahead and go for dinner.